You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Pay and we'll do our best to get you in a new Kia. Maybe it's a Forte, a Sorrento, or even a Telluride. We give the highest value Center on Tide 100.9. Alabama. Julio Jones Kia off Greensboro Ave. Stop in today or visit
Inside
us
the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant.
Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
You met with the stable boy despite your father's orders. He hoisted you onto the saddle and you wrapped your arms around him, embracing his silent strength. He lay you down amongst the wildflowers. You experienced love like never before while you were buying dish soap. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover heart-stopping romance titles on Audible.
Basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning. Welcome into the Hump Day edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to jump in on the show with us this morning. It is absolutely, the weather outside today for this morning is perfect this morning, in the low 60s, so enjoy this morning. Heat up a little bit this afternoon. Download that Tide 100.9 app. Get that on your smartphone. You can get all the great articles, all the great shows here at Tide 100.9. I know they got Hey Coach tonight. I don't think Coach DeBoer will be on tonight, but next week. But they'll have somebody with Chris Stewart, and that will be on tonight, so you can catch all those shows, plus the shows here from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. each and every day. We want to thank Yellowwood Pressure-Treated Pine from Great Southern. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, then you certainly don't want it. Go to yellowwood.com to find a dealer closest to you. You can build that fence, the deck, the pergola, that 5-star backyard. Good morning, Dad. Good morning, Chase. How you guys doing this morning?
Doing okay. I am. Several things that I'll kind of jump around with you a little bit, but things we have not mentioned is halfway decent. We're going to have the defense coordinator at Alabama on at 7:30 with his press thing yesterday, and then Bill Cameron will be on at 8:15. So it should be some good Alabama stuff at the very beginning and some Auburn stuff at the end of the show. Ty Jackson is going to visit, who's a 4-star from down in Loxahanna, Florida, is going to visit Alabama for the Georgia game, which was a big catch for them. They got their running back, Deer, who had committed to Ole Miss. He's from Quitman, Mississippi, a very good running back. He's changed his mind, and as we talk about these two, remember this one is a commitment. It's not a signee. So, but he came in, visited, liked it a great deal, and changed from Ole Miss. He was not in the Mississippi State deal. So the Braves beat the Phillies 3-1. My Indians beat the New York Yankees 9-5. We've got a 3.5 game lead in the Central, and then New York's got a half a game. I think they're half a game back in the East. The last I looked. Auburn is in the Maui Classic out in Hawaii, and they're going to play Iowa State. North Carolina and Connecticut are both in that. The Blue Plate Special, I've studied a great deal, trying to come up with what I think is the best game. Pretty complicated when you're trying to go with 4 teams. So do the best we can. Oklahoma State are putting some codes on the helmet that depict or to kind of tell what they've done with NIL. I'm not going to be surprised before I pass on in the years that the whatever you've advertised for is going to be all the way across the helmets. I don't know if that may be against that rule, but I think it's coming to where if you advertise for Burger King. Burger King's across the helmet, so we'll see if that's right or wrong. Let's see what else. The basketball schedules were announced. I'm not going to go through those. I will just re-mention to you that Alabama has 2 games with Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Auburn. And Auburn's 2 games with Georgia, Ole Miss, and Alabama. So that's sort of where we are. You know, we're involved in betting this day and time. I'm not going to go through all of that, but just as the teams have been picked for each league, the top 4 in the SEC, whoever the bettors are people, are Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and Ole Miss in that order. And then when you go to the bottom, Vanderbilt 16, Miss State 15, Arkansas 14, and South Carolina 13 means absolutely nothing except just to give you an idea of what people think. Utah is right now predicted to be the best in the Big 12. BYU actually is predicted to be the last. In the ACC, Florida State, who is one of these blue plate deals, is picked to be number 1. And Stanford, can you imagine Stanford being over there, are picked last? So that's just some running around that I tried to do this morning to see things that went on. We'll have some Alabama stuff at the bottom of the hour and some Auburn stuff at the end of the show.
There's a deal out this morning, AL.com. Next week, guys, new book coming out.
Yeah,
detailing Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin's relationship. John Talty, who wrote the other book about Coach Saban. We can try to I'll see if I can get John on, but about Coach hiring Lane, and I'm reading the article here. At one point, Lane, Jimmy Sexton was very, very influential in Coach Saban hiring Lane Kiffin. He talked to him about it. Coach was wanting to get into the RPOs, and there was one point in a meeting. The meeting was not going very well. I don't think Lane knew what Coach was talking about. Coach was getting mad. Lane called Jimmy Sexton to warn him and said, Coach is getting ready to call you, just giving you a warning. And he called, and true to Coach Saban's form, he basically, and I'm not going to use the phrase, that son of a, Saban said to his agent, according to the book, I'm going to fire you, Jimmy, for ever talking me into hiring this narcissistic prick, is what Coach Saban said. So it goes on, and even Lane's calling Jimmy Sexton about a job right before a game where he's coaching in Alabama, and Jimmy jumps all over Lane saying, Lane, let's win the game. When you win, you're much more marketable. So this book will come out next Tuesday. And
we've had John on before. We'll see.
What do you mean we'll see?
Well, I mean, I would see if you want to get him.
I'll try to get him. But anyway, your thoughts about just about, I think Lane Kiffin was available. Coach wanted to change his offense. He brought him in, I think, just to visit and kind of liked what he heard. And so he took the chance there. And I would say it worked for the most part. At the end, he may have cost Coach a national championship, maybe 2. Because he had to fire him there right before the national championship against Clemson. And then I wouldn't say he cost him the national championship, but that Ohio State game, I think we were doing a lot of throwing we didn't need to. But all in all, I would say it worked out, right, hiring Lane Kiffin here at Alabama?
I guess so. I think anytime you hire somebody with a big ego, and the head coach is got some ego himself, but knows what he wants to do. But the other guy, when you have a big ego, you look at I first. And I think to some degree there was too much I in it for me in the second half of the Ohio State game. But John's, he's written, he worked real hard trying to get stories about Coach last time he wrote a book, and so should be interesting. But I would say, would you hire him again? I don't know.
I think Coach got frustrated. You know, a lot of guys, when you're around Coach Saban, you're almost like a yes man. You kind of just agree with everything. And Lane was different. He probably didn't do it in the most respectful way. There's another excerpt here in the book that said, I had never had a blanking coach I can't control. Saban told one of his other assistants where, Lane would run things in practice to make the defense look bad, which would make Coach mad there. So he certainly wasn't a yes man. I don't think you have to surround yourself with a bunch of yes men. But for Coach Saban, he probably was not used to that because everybody kind of, I don't want to say bowed down, but
trying to work within the framework of what you're trying to do. And I think sometimes he jumped out of the framework of what they were trying to do personally for himself. But the comments that the Ohio State coaches made about Lane and what he tried to do against him in the second half was interesting to me. So they didn't think much. They thought that he made a mistake personally, in a nice way.
Yeah, yesterday, I don't know if it was yesterday, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it. You probably would enjoy it. Mark Godfrey, who does his podcast, he had Robert Ory on there, and he was talking to Robert about coming to Alabama. And, well, he was asked Robert about his recruitment, and he told the story, just like you've told it, that Robert wanted to go to Georgia Tech, but how hard you had worked, and you got the mom. Once his mom got on board, it was over. But Mark was asking about when you got to college, you said, Coach Sanders was tough. Like, he was tough on his guys. He worked on them. Did you have a hard time adjusting? I kind of like what Robert said. He said, you know what? I had a very tough high school coach that was very tough on me. He wouldn't let me even shoot the ball on the perimeter a lot. So he said, I was really kind of ready for that. And I don't know that enough guys come in, and I'm jumping around now, come in where they had a guy that was tough on them, that prepared them for what was going to come in college. I thought you might enjoy that, but just talk a bit about, and he was talking about him winning 7 rings, and Robert was talking about the first one. He kind of just stood back because those guys with the Rockets had worked so hard to get there, and he won his second year and figured, I'll do this plenty of times, which he ended up going and doing it 7 times. But just talk about these kids coming in here at Alabama, basketball, football, whatever, based on how they were coached in high school. Sometimes there is an adjustment period there when they get to college.
Well, he had a very tough, as he has stated, a very tough high school coach, which I thought was great. He didn't take any flack off of him and made him behave and do what he had to do. When I got him, I tried to know that he had great ability, but I knew sometimes he was for himself or a little bit, struggled a little bit with even discipline, even though he had great discipline at home with his mom. And so, I didn't, would he have left me, had transfer portal? He might have. I asked him one time, I've already told this, and he said, I would have left you, Coach, but my mom wouldn't let me. But I think the big thing that I've said 1,000 times for people who listen and have kids, when you try to raise your kids and you try to make them behave, when they go through certain things that they don't like, it's a tough deal for you. When they get back and look at it and have their own kids, then they're saying, "Ooh, he was pretty tough." I was glad he was. So he played good, and it's worked hard. He had some games that I didn't like, but he had a lot of them that I did like. So I'm proud of what he's done. He sent me a birthday wish, and I appreciated that. So I'm on good terms with him, and I just felt like that when we have a guy that good, everybody's after, that we need to be darn sure that he's on the right page with the rest of our guys. And did he shoot enough threes? No, probably did not. But he was a little bit difficult, but he was a good person, I think, and wanted, but we had 3 good players. We had the teams that I watched the game the other night with Ole Miss, with Arkansas. We had a good three 3 or 4 pretty good players. We had very little depth on that team, and and Robert played good and bad there. And a lot of times, Barry, this, people come in, they don't really want to guard anybody. They don't want to defend anybody. They are used to scoring 20 and not worrying about what the defensive guy they're guarding does. And we tried to change that with him. Did we change it completely? No, but I think we helped.
Yeah, I don't agree with people that. I'm not talking about the Hoover situation, but when people say you can't coach kids tough anymore, I think you can't go across the line. You got to show them that you care. I'm not saying you can go there and put your hands on them and all that. Yep. That was never acceptable. Even Bobby Knight putting his hands on Neil Reed back in the days, that's not acceptable back then. But I think you can coach these guys hard, and if as long as you're consistent with it, as long as you're fair with it, then I believe you can do it. And so when we were just talking about that, can you coach kids like that today? I think you can, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I think you can. I think you can be fair but tough. But the most important thing that I learned after my first year of the 12 years I had the job was to be darn sure that as tough as you were on them, that they knew that you cared about them as people, that you cared about their welfare, you cared about them, you loved them, but you were going to try to make them as good as you could make them. And did you make mistakes? Sure. Did you admit it? No, you did not. You mashed them. But just as long as they knew that you cared about them, I think it helped.
And so you look at some of these kids, and I'm quite into football now. I know Saraland's got a really good program down there. You look at Ryan Williams, he prepared for college. He gets there. It's not a big difference in how he's coached there. He's been coached well, but he's been coached tough. So you'll see some of that stuff, and you'll see some of these kids that get passed up by guys that maybe didn't have quite the stars or the big names. So it'll be fun to watch as this new group gets started next Saturday.
Yeah, I'm just not a star guy particularly. I certainly want to look and see where other people rank them to see if I'm right or wrong against them. That's the reason I like to have an assistant coach go look at them. And when I had one assistant coach come in and another assistant coach come in, and each one of them like the guy they've been recruiting, I had them swap. And one go look at his guy, the other go look at his guy to get comparison of them. So it's evaluation. When we talk about recruiting, we talk about evaluating the recruits that we get. And we had I didn't want to get into all this yesterday, but we did a good job with people here that not so much Sonny, but with UAB's having a big name and so forth, doing a great job of really using our alums and getting the players in the city of Birmingham that we wanted.
Yeah, I guess it was yesterday I saw a deal where the football team, Chris Paul, came in and spoke to the Alabama football team. Chris Paul from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He went to Wake Forest, been a really good pro. So I know Coach has been bringing it. They're not getting quite the publicity that it would happen when Coach Saban did it, but I know what kind of guy Chris Paul is just from being at Wake Forest there for the 1 year. So I'm sure
these are sort of the things that when Coach leaned on Nick behind the scenes, that these kind of things came up. Something like this, Coach may not have done that before.
Yeah.
But when you lean on him about things that helped your team, he says, "Oh, that's a good idea." So that's where that comes from, I think.
Yeah, well, they had some stars walking there. Kobe Bryant, man. Ooh. 2-minute truck, 1330 Martin Road East. As you prepare for this move, whether it's local, out of town, out of state, or you just need to get a couple guys out there to help you move stuff around the house, whatever you need, they're going to take care of you. You just give them a call today, 205-247-5050. They'll set you right up. 2-minute truck. Movers who care.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread. Good Wednesday morning. Drugs continue to be a problem for the youth in our community, and a day of games and entertainment this coming Saturday will serve to inform them about the scourge of those drugs, especially the deadly fentanyl use that seems to be growing in the community. The event is called Project Freedom. It will be held at Annette Shelby Park on 15th Street from 10 until 2. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. It's free all throughout the day. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. You hear that on this Hump Day Wednesday. It is quiet, folks, so that's always a wonderful thing. I do see a couple of spots where we got some heavy red lights. And first on McFarland Boulevard onto Skyland. Now that's a bit of a active intersection right now. I wouldn't really say that it's extremely.
We'll give you something really, really good. That's Checkers.
Get 2 Checkers sandwiches for $4. Checkers on 15th Street across from Central and Northport next to Walmart.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A good supply of sunshine today with a high in the upper 80s, around 88. Tonight, fair with the low at 68. Tomorrow, partially sunny, a small chance of a shower, the high 89. And Friday, a good supply of sunshine with a high at 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
The flagship station for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Pressure treated pine from Great Southern Wood. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. The know-it-all is saying, and we'll get to Philip here in just a second, that if Alabama doesn't make the college football playoff, it would be a bust for Kalen DeBoer's first year. How you could say that this early? I mean, who knows what's going to happen during the year? You may get guys injured, people that do that kind of stuff irritate me.
Well, they're looking for readers.
Yeah, but to call it a bust when they see, I mean, you have to go through the season and see what happens, and then you can determine what it was at the end. But say it would be before you even start. I mean, a lot of things happen during a season.
The one thing he did do, though, he got you to read it.
Well, it was just
the word by using. Well,
the word but it was not an article he wrote. It was an article that Mark Haim wrote. But I'm just saying that people say those kind of things. It's like people killing Tommy Rees still hear about, well, Tommy Rees was just doing what Nick Saban wanted him to do. I mean, and did the offense get better as the year went along? Did Milroe improve? He was playing really good football at the end of the year. So I would think that's what coaching is to try to have your team improve throughout the year. And I would think that when you knock off Georgia Bulldogs, that team did. So I don't know that I would call him a bust by any means, which people do around here.
Yeah.
All right, get to the Yellowwood hotline, get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Morning.
Good morning, Billy. Who is he calling a bust?
Well,
it could be a bust.
But if they don't make the playoff, the season would be a bust. But my point is, how do you say that prior to the season? Now, you could look at it and they may play poorly, and you may say it is a bust, or they could have a rash of injuries throughout the season, and the ball doesn't. Sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way, and that doesn't mean it was a bust. That just means these other teams got guys on scholarship as well. So I don't know.
I'm with Coach Sanderson on the scheduling. That's so important, and how the scheduling falls, when the games occur.
Absolutely.
What your injury situation's like, when these certain games occur. That's so important. But I want to get back to recruiting and ask you guys a question about basketball recruiting, and something I've been wanting to ask you for a long time. I keep forgetting. But first, I want to talk about Ryan Williams. That young man, the thing I think that separates Ryan Williams from a lot of these great players that come in like he has, and with a lot of hype and expectations, is Ryan Williams seems like he has just a real great personality. He seems extremely mature, and most importantly, he seems extremely likable. That's just from my perspective.
Well, I was thinking about that, but I haven't, and I don't know what Coach DeBoer's philosophy is. I hadn't seen the freshman interviewed, so I haven't really seen him in an interview setting. Where are you seeing all this to come to this conclusion? I'm not disagreeing. I just hadn't seen him talk or anything yet. And sometimes freshmen that got enough going on with just trying to learn the playbook and all that, they kind of keep them away from the media. And maybe he has. I just hadn't seen it. Where are you seeing all that?
Well, and you're exactly right, Barry. I really haven't seen anything like that either. The only thing I'm pointing to is these little snippets. That's what I mentioned is likability. These little snippets of things you see on Twitter where they might be in the locker room or, sort of joking around after a practice and the guys are having fun talking. And, you see those little videos that's filmed and put out there for the world to see. And it's the only thing I can go by. But he seems like a very likable guy and seems like somebody that would be fun to have on your team and as a teammate. But what I wanted to ask you guys, and this is going back, if you could remember a little bit, did you guys ever have a situation where y'all were recruiting and went, especially you, like going back, a while back when you were an assistant, and you were in some little town in Georgia or Alabama, and you go to the high school to see the player, and you've never really seen him before, and you walk from the principal's office and go back to the high school gym, and you're sitting in the coach's office, and you're looking through the two-way glass, and there's a couple of guys out there playing around, and you see a guy that you go, man, he looks good, and you think that's the guy you're recruiting, and you find out it isn't. Did that ever happen to y'all?
Well, I might go in and see the guy I wanted to see, but also like another player that I wanted to go back and see. There might be a guy that was a little bit more of a forward, and all of a sudden there's a guard on that team that I didn't know was on that team, and he's a 10th grader or 11th grader, and then I liked him, and in my mind I said to myself, I'm gonna go back and look at him. I was at some games when Sonny Smith and Gene Bartow and all three of us were at games, and I liked this one guy, and neither one of them even were interested in him, and it's just, just quite different.
You get certain high school coaches that you respect their evaluation, and when they tell you about a kid and he turns out to be what they tell you, then you'll go back there. If they also burn you, they tell you about a kid and you get in there and he's not near as big or not near as good as you think, they're just trying to oversell a kid. So some high school coaches do that. I think going back to Ryan Williams, and I think this is important, Philip. A lot of coaches look for guys that come from winning cultures. This guy's used to winning, and so he's used to being coached. He's won state championships, so that means a lot to guys that. Not to say some of these guys may be on a bad team, but him winning state championships and playing in big games. This kid's played in big games in high school. That's important when you get to this next level.
Yes, it is. It sure is. And I'll tell you somebody there that's right among y'all that's high on Ryan Williams, and that's Gary Harris.
Yeah.
He is high on Ryan Williams.
Well, he should still be a high school. He reclassified, so he could be a high school player. Now, just like the kid Stevenson for Coach Oates, that kid really started to improve at the end of the year. We'll see what kind of jump he makes now, which really should be his freshman year, but he got a lot of experience with USA basketball and all those things. So those guys you can really see those guys make a jump from year one to year two. And hopefully in Ryan Williams' case, year one, he'll be as good as advertised.
Well, Barry, if you hear any good inside stuff on the basketball team, bring it to us, man. It's getting close.
Man, I'm just already tell you they're loaded. And I just glanced kind of at their conference schedule. To me, it looks very manageable. I think they'll win the league. I think they'll probably win the league.
Well, I love the Saturday Alabama-Auburn games. I love those. I couldn't believe that's been going on for 20 years where they play on a Wednesday night and then a Saturday. That's been going on for doggone 20-something years.
Yeah, people were talking about that yesterday. If they'd listened to our show, they'd known a couple weeks ago, wouldn't they have?
Yeah, that's what. Yes, they would have. They sure would have.
Darth.
All right.
Thank you, Philip.
Y'all be good. See you.
All right, we'll get to break here. We have some Kane Womack sound from yesterday, but also take your phone calls as well if you guys want to give us a call, 205-342-9904. Yes.
One thing I thought maybe somebody might call in about the interview we had yesterday about football rules. I thought it was so good, kind of complicated, but good, and he did a great job, I thought, trying to explain it to us.
You know, one of the things I don't like, of course, now if they play 17 games, it would probably be good. But, you know, you wait so long to get back to college football. And then you get these new clock rules where the clock doesn't stop when the guy goes. And so the games are going faster. Why are we rushing the game? Like you want to get there. You're not trying to get in there and get out of there as quick as you can. And it seems like with these running the clock when you go out of bounds and all those things. I'll tell you, last year, Dad, Texas got that double-digit lead. And early in the fourth quarter, Coach Saban called his timeouts because he was trying to get the ball back to get to a one-score game, and they couldn't. And at that point, Alabama couldn't stop the clock, and Texas literally just ran the clock out because they kept getting first down, and the clock never stopped. So I think it's hard for these teams if you can get them down with clock management and all that, man, you can kind of beat these teams just by controlling the ball in the fourth quarter with the new clock rules. So, but anyway, and I think that, I don't know, I think that green dot on the helmet and all that's just too much for these guys to keep up with. I just look at that as going to be a disaster, in my opinion.
I don't even know what that is. I'm going to re-listen to yesterday's interview because a green dot?
Well, it has a green dot on your helmet, and that's the guy that they communicate with from the press box. So anyway, all right, phone line's open, 205-342-9904. If you didn't hear the Steve Shaw interview, it's up on the pop-up call. We'll talk about it as well. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. You hear that on this Hump Day Wednesday. It is quiet, folks, so that's always a wonderful thing. I do see a couple of spots where we got some heavy red lights, and first on McFarland Boulevard onto Skyland. Now that's a bit of a active intersection right now. I wouldn't really say that it's extremely busy. Otherwise, Lurleen Wallace at McFarland, that's all good right now as it is traveling at posted speed. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. Drugs continue to be a problem for the youth in our community, and a day of games and entertainment this coming Saturday will serve to inform them about the scourge of those drugs, especially the deadly fentanyl use that seems to be growing in the community. The event is called Project Freedom. It will be held at Annette Shelby Park on 15th Street from 10 until 2. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. It's free all throughout the day. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. What a beautiful hump day we're having. It's construction zones in the area. You're having to make your way around, but that's it. So, Skyland between Clearview Hills Drive and Pleasant Hill Drive. You got railroad bridge work. Also, McFarland east and westbound between Jack Warner and Lurleen Wallace.
And these changes within just a couple of days.
Text support to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Woods. You're going to build the fence, the deck, the pergola. There's only one choice, and that would be Yellowwood. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer closest to you, and always remember, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. All right, Kane Womack, I think it was last time, guys, met with the media. Let's just play his opening there, and then we'll get to the specific questions throughout the interview.
I thought it was an incredibly physical scrimmage. probably the most physical that I can remember being a part of. I thought I saw a gear from our players, another gear, another level of intensity that I had not seen yet. And that was really exciting going into, really the last scrimmage. We talk about this all the time. Game day is always different. It's a different mentality. And there's nothing that we can do to emulate exactly what game day is going to be, but a scrimmage is the closest simulation that we can give you to exactly what game day is going to be like. And so jobs are won and lost in those situations. There's a different level of intensity in that moment, right? There's not quite as many reps overall, right? You're just getting more game-style reps, and I thought our guys rose to the level from a physicality standpoint. Their execution was really good. I thought tackling significantly improved. And then there was some really good situational work that we're doing. I think Coach DeBoer, Kalen, does a tremendous job of just getting our guys ready from a situational standpoint and preparing them for all the scenarios that can come up in a game. We may work a situation that, we may play 1,300 snaps next year, and that we may only run that situation one time, right? But I think we do a really good job of covering those things. So.
Sometimes, Dad, you get into scrimmages and things happen and competition kind of comes out and things get he didn't say they got heated, but they talked about how physical this scrimmage was. And you start to learn a lot about guys at that time. Just your thoughts about what Coach said there.
Yeah, I think it shows that they can be tougher than they have been, but they've learned now to be sure that the swarm is in the right places at the right time against people who try to trick you offensively. But I think this kind of interview is a terrific kind of interview for our show because it gives us the information of somebody who's there and coaching them, not somebody that comes in and gives his opinion. This guy gives his opinion because he's looking at them every day. I think it's good.
Physicality is always is a good thing. And, it's nice to hear, sometimes, and I don't want to call Coach DeBoer laid back, but he is a little bit more laid back than probably Coach Saban. And sometimes, but I think probably on the practice field, he's probably different. And sometimes teams take on the coach's personality. And I think these coordinators are pretty fiery guys. So they're taking on maybe their personality as opposed to maybe the head coach was just more even keel, which I think is very good. Let's hear they talked about the physicality one more time. Let's hear what Kane Wommack said about that.
Well, one of the things that I think for us from a physicality standpoint is we talk about hard shoulder tackling. So there is pre-contact emphasis, and then there's the point of contact and emphasis. And the first thing that we have to do is you have to close space on the man, on the ball carrier, and then hold leverage at the same time as you're closing space. I thought we did a really good job of that. And it allows them to get in a position to where they can work what we call a same foot, same shoulder, and then a finish on top, right, which means finish in a dominant position. So did a really good job of closing space and holding leverage. And then I thought, we finished in a physical on top position for most of the scrimmage. So a lot of missed tackling. I think there's a misnomer out there. If you play defense right where a ball carrier has a ball with space, you're going to have more missed tackles, right? But if you can close that space, right, and it's a bang, bang, he catches the ball or he gets, all of a sudden to the second level and the run fit, but we have somebody immediately there, you're going to have less missed tackles, right, simply because you're closing the space around those ball carriers. And I think our players are doing a really good job of that right now.
I think the one thing that I think, you can correct me when you find out, I think that Coach will be an on-the-field defensive coordinator rather than the press box.
Yeah, I definitely. I think his personality tends to that. He's kind of up and down, and then if you can't run up and down the press box, I like coordinators on the sideline personally. And, I was looking yesterday on social media, and they had the Detroit Lions coach was talking to his team, and he said, he talked about how, guys, you're just going to have to trust me. We're going to have to be physical. We're going to have to tackle in practice. I know when to back off of you, but if I don't have you tackle now, then we get to the games, you're going to get injured. So learning how to tackle, but doing it in practice. And that's the only way. the only way to do it, learn how to do it, is to do it. And I think sometimes coaches are scared to tackle because you don't want to get anybody hurt. But, man, I'd hate for the first time you tackle when you're just tackling dummies. Those dummies can't make a move on you. So there's got to be a balance there, right, of how physical, how much you tackle actually in practice, because you really don't want to get those guys hurt.
Well, I think he gets disgusted quick, too.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of defensive coordinators do that. Some don't. Some are much more. But I think he feels like if the space is not covered up and somebody doesn't come in to help, I think he gets.
Well, I think that's important for Coach DeBoer, who's probably laid back, to hire a guy who's not like him, right? You don't want another. He don't need a laid back defensive coordinator if he's laid back. So, all right, let's get. We'll flip over now to the Yellowwood hotline and get Tom into the show. Good morning, Tom.
Morning, Barry. Morning, Coach. How are y'all?
We're good. How are you?
Okay.
You know, I want to talk. Is it okay if we talk about gossip?
Yeah.
Gossip. Sure.
Gossip. I want to change the subject. Football press conferences, blah, blah, blah.
All right, gossip. Let's go. What you got?
Well, I wanted to ask Coach. You know, Sunday was a great tournament in Memphis. You agree with that?
Yeah, was good. Very good.
Very competitive, very entertaining. Big storyline with Nick Dunlap trying to make it into the playoffs as a rookie. Just a lot of good storylines going on around the PGA event in Memphis. And, you know, Brooks Koepka and John Rahm were in a dogfight in a LIV tournament, and nobody gave a crap about it.
Yeah, nobody knew about it.
Nobody knew about it. I think the lack of television, at least for me, if I knew that it was on, I would have had 2 TVs on. But I don't. I think the lack of TV for the majority of people, you just don't get. You're just not used to looking at that, and therefore you just kind of find out who won, but you don't really care. But they've got team events. Me and you and Barry and another guy are in a team, our team versus somebody else. It takes away the individuality of a player.
You know, LIV used to always be in the media. Guys were moving over there, this, that, and the other. They've kind of just died and gone away, to be quite honest with you, Tom.
Yeah, but after the novelty of how much money they were throwing around, that wore off, and then the product golf, that's what you have to rely on, and it was nothing left because all they had was a bunch of attention about money, and money is not going to carry the attention. You know, it only the how much money they got. That's 5 minutes, and then all that's gone out of the mind, but.
Yeah, Tom, they can look across the way too and say to themselves, why am I doing that? And I lost my publicity with people, and they're making a lot of money on PGA Tour. If I get over there and play, the publicity that I get, I may be able to sell something commercially, but over the LIV, they're lost.
Yeah, but when you give a guy $100 million, then he doesn't have to win it. At that point, he's like, but you got to earn it on the PGA Tour. So those guys say, yeah, it stinks, but I still got I still got the $100 million in the bank, and I don't even have to win anymore. So you probably lose your competitiveness in those situations.
I think that's what happened to John Rahm.
No doubt. And I think he's miserable.
He knows it. He knows that's what's wrong with his game.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Because as they say on this radio station, every 5 seconds, iron sharpens iron. We hear that 5 million times a day on this radio station, right or wrong. And
I don't know if I've ever said that.
I ain't talking about you always. Everything ain't about you, Barry.
You said on this station. You said on this station, so I thought you were saying Dad and I were saying iron sharpens iron.
I don't want to argue about that part. That's nothing. I wanted to move on, though, Coach. Here's my real point. After we made those those great points about LIV and the PGA and so forth and so on. I think, in my humble opinion, the PGA needs to analyze what happened last weekend with their golf tournament in Memphis and how it stacked up against LIV and capture whatever it is and keep that going if they want to bury Greg Norman and LIV tournaments.
Well, I think here's what happened.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. But here's what made it even better for you and I. The really great players were bunched against each other, and then there was one guy who you and I kept up with all the time, and that was Nick. But the Schauffele's and Schaufflers and the people that are really good got themselves bunched against each other, 14, 15, right in there. But and that really made it more entertaining than ever, because the guys that we follow the most, that play the best, all got bunched up.
Right. That's exactly right. But look here. See, let me point this out if you don't mind. All week, leading up to the tournament last week, we got the playoff talk. Good. They were promoting it being a playoff, but they were promoting it. This is going to be a Xander and Scotty showdown. This is going to be the Scotty Xander show. And this, well, it wasn't. Guess what? There were others out there trying to win. There were others hitting the ball good. There was another storyline that was interesting to people. And the PGA needs to wake up and see what was going on and learn from it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that happens. You're fortunate enough to have that happen, and sometimes, Scotty and them don't putt well. They're not in the top 10, and you don't follow it quite because of what they have done. You're dying to see them again to see if they can do it, and he had another opportunity to see if he was going to win there. And I'll tell you something. Hideki plays so darn good and so
he
smart.
Sure did.
And didn't have anybody. Nobody was pulling for him, so that quieted it a little bit. And he lost to people surrounding him had gotten their stuff stolen. But I have yet to give him very much.
It's also intriguing. Well, with the Paris, they were in the airport and somebody came up and stole like their bags. So his caddy wasn't there because he lost his passport and all that. So they got robbed.
Oh my God! I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, he didn't have his caddy. No, they stole everything they had.
Yeah.
I read the story, and I thought that the story read they attempted to steal it, but
they got it.
No, they got it. They got it. They robbed him. And I also think it helped. You had the top. You wanted to win, but you also had the intrigue of, man, is this guy going to get in the top 50? You wanted to know where they were.
That's Nick.
So that helped. Now, whether other people cared about Nick Dunlap outside of state of Alabama, I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you, Nick has been ever since he won as an amateur. He's been somewhat on the radar of coverage and attention.
Yeah,
and that's pretty good. And then he had the attention for this past week. Hey, I wanted to bring this up. Then I'm going to get out of the way. I swear I am. I went through the pairings for Thursday. Have y'all looked at that?
I got them pulled up right here.
Have you read through them? I thought it was really interesting. I want to ask about this. The very last group to go out to is Nick and Grayston.
Max
Max
Graceman, yes, at 12:40.
Yeah.
Yes.
They go off the last group of the day, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that is so interesting that they put those two together at the end of the field. Do you think that's interesting?
Yeah, I think it is. I'll tell you something else that's interesting. Nick's caddy is from Montgomery and plays where Scott plays, my son, and gave me a lesson one time. And I'm going to call him and get him on our show because he's real down to earth. Doesn't get upset with Nick if he hits a bad shot. And by George, Nick hit a bunch of them the other day off the tee, and wood, not a lie, but he kept his composure and made it. So I'm going to get him on our show. It'd be very interesting, I think.
Well, I would say this to him if I were in your place and he came on the show. I would say this. I would explore the first year as a caddy at the professional level on PGA Tour and find out, is it everything that you thought it was going to be? And, I mean, how do you act when Nick, like he did last Sunday, missed every freaking fairway with his driver? Do you try to give him a lesson when he's out? I think that's funny.
He'll say, he'll say, I coached him the Rookie of the Year.
He won't say that. The guy doesn't say
well,
much.
He is Rookie. He's going to be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
The only problem with that is Doug is predicted it. If Doug's predicted it, it might not happen. But I don't know who else.
Y'all don't be knocking Doug because Doug helped me out with my football pick.
Oh, God.
Coach, surely you have learned in the last 3 years.
Go opposite, Doug.
But I'm what you call a teaser.
But isn't Doug a good sport, Tom? We beat him up.
I love Doug.
God, we beat him.
Love Doug.
We beat him up, and he just laughs.
Tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day.
Somebody gets on there and says one word out of the way, and I go crazy.
Yeah, and you love and you just love Skarbinsky too. Every time Skarbinsky's
Well, I tell you what, you don't listen to me. You do not listen to my explanation of why. And I'm not going.
I can't hear you half the time because you got a dang wind tunnel behind you.
Okay, I'm gonna quit calling then unless I'm off of work.
What is that wind tunnel?
I'm at work and it's like I'm in a lumber mill, and when I'm up there trying to watch what's going on, it's all kind of.
I can just picture you standing there and your hair is blowing in the wind as you talk to us.
No, it's not that. It's not that. I promise you. Look, when you picture me, think about me with my rear end drawn up and sweating like crazy.
There you go. All right, Tom. Thanks, sir.
All right, buddy. Y'all take care.
All right, we'll take the break here. We want to thank Yellowwood. They made the 7 o'clock hour possible. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want to get those backyards ready. Football's coming. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of The Game, Aaron Torres. We'll talk with him. We're going to recap another Alabama practice. We'll have offense front and center starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. What a beautiful hump day we're having. It's construction zones in the area. You're having to make your way around, but that's it. So, Skyland between Clearview Hills Drive and Pleasant Hill Drive. You got railroad bridge work. Also, McFarland east and westbound between Jack Warner and Lurleen Wallace. Do watch out for that. 359 northbound, you may find some cones between 2059 and Stillman College. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In Major League Baseball games of note, Battle of Division leaders saw the Guardians score 6 runs in the 12th inning for a 9-5 win over the Yankees. Meanwhile, the Orioles beat the Mets 9-5, so Baltimore reclaims the top spot in the AL East. They're a half game up on the Yankees. Braves knock off the NL East leading Phillies 3-1. Atlanta moves 2.5 games up on the Mets for the final wildcard spot in the National League. Battle of wildcard teams saw the Padres beat the Twins 7-5. San Diego's Jerkson Profar had the go-ahead 3-run homer in the 8th inning, but San Diego still is 3 games back of LA in the NL West race because the Dodgers got a Jason Hayward tie-breaking pinch hit 3-run homer in the 8th inning to beat the Mariners 6-3. Astros fall to the Red Sox 6-5. Boston.
Visit us in-store or online today because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 8/21. Selection varies by location. See store at Lowe's.com for details.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A good supply of sunshine today with a high in the upper 80s, around 88. Tonight, fair with a low at 68. Tomorrow, partially sunny, a small chance of a shower, the high 89. And Friday, a good supply of sunshine with a high at 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Inside the locker room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Andrew Kniffer. Andrew's my Allstate insurance agent. Let him become yours. I just had, we had another car we had to put on. So I just texted him, said, hey, take this car off, add this one on. Boom. He takes care of it in the mail. 2 days later, I got new insurance cards. So Andrew is easy to deal with. So give him a call today. Looking for home, life, auto, whatever you need. 205-722-9201. Andrew Kniffer, Allstate Insurance. All right, get to the Andrew Kniffer hotline. We'll go out to Skyland Boulevard, talk a little Tuscaloosa Toyota with Justin. Good morning, Justin. How are you?
Hey, Justin. Man, it's great, man. Beautiful day, man. Y'all doing okay?
We're good. Does Gordo play tomorrow night in football?
Gordo plays tomorrow night at home against Fayette.
Ooh, that's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, Gordo's got 4 goodies right off the bat. They'll find out in the first 4 what they're made of.
You need to get
I think their whole schedule's at the front of the schedule. It's a lot gets decided early for them.
I need a couple of basketball games. Can you get Gordo to play me in basketball?
Absolutely. They got a new coach, and he's going to be a really good one. And
who is the new coach?
Coy Chapman.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to be all right. Why wouldn't they go and get throbbed by y'all and find out where they're weak at?
Send me his number when we get off the phone.
I'll do it. I really will.
Yeah, I want you to. All right.
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa Toyota. Tell us what's going on down there. School started back today at the university. A lot of people in town. I'm sure you guys have been extremely busy here this week.
Yeah, I tell you, Barry, we're in a time period right now where Toyota is going to start transitioning to different models and different year models and all that kind of stuff. So you'll see closeouts and hard to get vehicles moving forward. It'll be hard to get. We put a 300 number. We talk about this every week. We shoot for 300. That is, let me say this to you, that is hard to, you can ask any dealer in town, 300 cars in a month. It takes some people 4 months to get to 300. So getting to 300 cars is not something that's easy. We set the bar real high, just like we do with everything. And so getting to 300 is going to be tough rolling out the rest of the year, because what's happening is you've got cars getting transitioned to 25 models. So, factory and stuff, they'll start, shutting down production, and you'll see a lag period. So right now, inventory's really good for like Highlanders that'll be transitioned to 25, 4Runners, all of those things like that. If you're wanting a great deal and wanting to get one before the pickings is slim, right now is the time to do that. So you can, it's one of those things where, Barry, when you transition to the 25, yeah, that's a good thing. But a lot of people like the model that's out right now. And if you want to capture that model, don't hesitate, to go ahead and be doing that.
Yeah, Miss McElwain, to you, my Mimi was swung by her new Highlander. Man, that thing purrs like a kitten. That thing is sweet. The leather seats in there. It's the first time I've seen the Highlander, the newer Highlanders. Those things are nice, Justin.
Well, it's funny. Me and her talked about, I can remember her late husband, and it just don't seem like, and y'all know this, time flies. But 12 years ago, he shows up out there talking to me, and he buys the daughters, one's your wife, he buys them all, both of them brand new Highlanders. And she remembered those Highlanders and how great they were. But she went on and on. She even called me the next day or come by and see me. I can't remember which one it was, just raving about how much she loves that new Highlander. That thing is amazing. It is. We tell everybody there that comes. I mean, you get the most bang for your buck in a Highlander. It's just not too big. It's not too small. It's smooth. It's just a great vehicle to own with plenty of room, plenty of performance, and all the options. So, those are one vehicle to talk about right now, Barry. And in the pipeline, we'll see those get less and less as they transition to the 25. So if you're wanting a great deal and wanting a great product, that Highlander's one to go ahead and jump on right now.
Yeah, Dad's got the Venza, Comer's got the Highlander, and then now you got the 4Runner, and then she's got the Highlander. So we got to get us a truck next. I guess.
I was just thinking to say you got to come get a Tundra or a Tacoma, and we'll have it all. Yeah. We'll have every model about handled, right?
Yeah, that's what Jack needs, I guess. Dad, everything going all right with your car? You need to talk to Justin about anything?
No, everything's okay. I'm doing fine with it. I just let y'all talk, but it's fine. I'm enjoying it. Great.
Well, I know this. Let me say this, Barry. Well, let's have some fun for a minute. So Miss McElwain told me that she listens every single day, so I know she's listening right now.
She is.
Now, I don't know if she listens to critique and make sure y'all are doing and saying and doing things like you're supposed to. So if she's listening right now, I know she's probably critiquing me, but I'm going to get on her good side because Barry's got a great mother-in-law, and she was great to work with, come out. She trusted us. She knew how the process was. She saw how fast she was able to get in, get out, straight to the point, no sitting there forever, getting hassled and all that kind of stuff. And that's how the process gets made easy. We have our website where it starts, so you can get on. It's easy to navigate. You can do everything at a dealership you could possibly want to do, from rent a car, service a car, buy a car, financing. Everything gets done easy right there. And then when you get to the dealership, there ain't no added on side stickers where people advertise, we can give you this discount. We're the number one dealer in town. No, there ain't none of that gibberish that goes on. It's straight, fast to the point. You know you're getting the best price, and that's what makes it easy at Tuscaloosa Toyota, and that's why we price our cars. We're not in love with any of them. We want them gone, and we price them that way, and that's how we get to around 300 every single month, just trying to do everything the right way. So great time with hers, great vehicles that they bought, and they don't have to worry about it 100,000 miles or 150 that this is going to go wrong or transmission. I mean, it's just a vehicle that they know you can put your kid in, he can drive to Auburn, you ain't got to worry about him.
Yeah. Only thing is she moved over there by us and she said she was going to have us over there for dinner one night a week. She's been over there for 3 years. She's had us over twice.
Well, then what are you doing wrong?
I don't know. I
guess Wimp could answer that question.
I always
right?
tease her about it all the time. So, all right, Justin, you got to get to work, man. David don't want you talking to us. He wants you selling cars. So
that's right.
Get out there and sell some cars.
We're looking forward to the blue plate, by the way. We are at that. Well, we're going to have a blue plate tomorrow.
We are. So get the everybody in the dealership around 8:45. Everything needs to stop. Y'all need to turn the radio up and make you some money.
Well, it'll take longer than that.
Oh, what time?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's people that listen to his blue plate, and they know he researches it, and they know he studies it. He ain't just throwing something out there.
Yeah, we'll see if he can't win more this year.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be hard.
He's bad-mouthing, Justin.
These games are hard, boy.
Well, that's why
I tell you what,
they don't set the line to make them easy.
Hey, look, the prayers need to start for Doug Bell right now, right?
Oh, Doug. Yeah. We beat Doug to death. We beat him up. So
hopefully he'll have a good year. I'm looking forward to it.
He's due. Thank you, Justin.
Hey, good talk, guys. See you next week.
All right, go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. You saw where the transfer dad from Auburn that went to South Carolina, Robbie Ashford, he got beat out by the true freshman over there. So they're going to start a freshman. I thought Robbie Ashford might go over there and win that job, but I think he's a freshman. I'm not sure if he's redshirt or. But a freshman ended up winning a job at South Carolina. So we can talk to Bill Cameron about that a little bit as well. Also, I guess Alabama will be taking on T.J. Finley in the first game, who's a former Auburn quarterback as well. So, but they seem to be happy on the plains.
T.J. Finley's at Western Kentucky?
Yeah. You're not a big T.J. Finley fan, are you?
He's at LSU, wasn't he?
T.J. Finley. No, he went to, he started at LSU, then went to Auburn, then he went somewhere in Texas.
I got a good memory.
Now he's at Western Kentucky. So maybe take the Tide, then 31 if you don't like T.J. Finley.
I may blue plate that.
Yeah, there you go. Just the Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. It is picking up the pace on the roadways. Northport, you do have a fender bender on Highway 43 southbound before McFarland. And we're also seeing some delays starting to really take shape on McFarland. And that's both east and westbound between Watermelon and 43. It's also got...
The one-day hands-on driving school gives teens experience in car control through exercises that include emergency braking and skid recovery. Find a class near you at TireRack.com/survive.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance for your business.
Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free demo of the Townsquare Business Management Platform. Visit townsquarelocal.com. That's townsquarelocal.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A good supply of sunshine today with a high in the upper 80s, around 88. Tonight, fair with the low at 68. Tomorrow, partially sunny, a small chance of a shower, the high 89. And Friday, a good supply of sunshine with a high at 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Get right to Tuscaloosa Toyota Hotline. He's with ESPN 106.7 The Drive down in Auburn, Opelika. Getting close to some Auburn football. I know they're excited down there. Bill Cameron. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, Bill. Morning, guys. How's it going?
It's good. Bill, I saw where obviously Peyton Thorne's the starter. I thought maybe Griner would win the backup spot, but Hank Brown, I guess, is a redshirt freshman. I think he did play a little bit in the bowl game. I guess that rule where you can play 4 games and still get your red shirt. Tell the listeners about Hank Brown, the backup quarterback there at Auburn.
Yeah, Hank's the guy that was a late signing by Auburn last year when Hugh Freeze was looking for another quarterback. He played for Trent Dilfer up in Nashville.
Yeah, Lipscomb. Yeah.
Before Trent headed down to UAB, and he's a little bit more of a gunslinger. I mean, I really think that that's something that Hugh likes about Hank is he'll take shots downfield a little bit more. I mean, he's not as athletic. Holden's probably a little more athletic, and definitely Peyton is somebody who's going to be able to make more plays with his legs. But I mean, Hank's sort of I guess that's the way it used to be. I don't know that everybody still does that, but it used to seem like your backup quarterback might be a little bit more of a gunslinger, a guy that could come in and throw the deep ball a little bit more. So that's probably the advantage that he has over Holden. Plus, the other thing is Holden, I believe, is on track to graduate at the end of this year. So that would have your number 2 guy, at least as someone who, at least as far as eligibility-wise, has a chance of coming back next year in these days of the crazy transfer portal.
Yeah.
If the recruiting is going that good, at least in commitments, if they continue with doing what they're doing, they ought to be ranked very high for the seasons ahead. The season ahead 25. What's your thoughts on that? Is that going to stay intact, you think, with the guys that they've got commitments from, and are they jumping in on some other guys?
Yeah, I think so. Now, I mean, obviously, they're going to need to show that proof of what they've been selling on the field a little bit. That's going to need to match what they've been telling them. But look, Hugh Freeze is an elite recruiter. He has been, and he's one of the better closers among head coaches. Auburn's got things going. They've got a really good recruiting staff. Now, they're going to need to show, like I said, though, these first few ball games. I believe they have Deuce Knight, the Notre Dame commit quarterbacks, coming in for the opening game against Alabama A&M. A lot of folks think that he may just go ahead and flip at that time. But they need to show that this offense is going to be exciting, and that the players that they're recruiting have an opportunity to play in an offense and a defense that's going to be a lot of fun. So they're going to need to prove it on the field. But I don't see any reason that they're going to slow down with what they've been doing off the field.
Talk about fall camp. I know they've had several scrimmages. There have been a lot of positive things coming out. I really think that people think that Coach Hugh Freeze, this team's going to make a big jump from year one to year two. We'll see about the wins and the losses, but I think the talent level's been upgraded. I know they're excited about these young receivers. They got some studs there, it sounds like. Just talk a little bit about how the fall's gone so far.
Yeah, there's no question. The receivers have continued all fall to continue to step up. That was a little surprising when on the first Tiger Talk the other night. Well, I guess it wasn't terribly surprising, but some folks were a little surprised when he said that he was probably the wide receiver core he felt was the best group on offense. And they've got a very talented running back group and a very talented and proven tight end group as well. So that tells you how good the receivers have been up to this point. Right now, the concern on offense was something that Hugh said first last Friday when he said the offensive line might be his biggest concern on offense. And he talked about left tackle, where Percy Lewis was brought in and transferred from Mississippi State. I mean, he looks like an SEC left tackle at 6'7", 355, maybe a little taller than that. But apparently the consistency hasn't been what they wanted out there at that left tackle. So they had moved Dylan Wade, who started at left tackle last year, into guard because they feel like that's where his future will be. If he wants to continue football after college, and moved him into left guard. But right now they're looking at Dylan Wade back at left tackle and seeing if Percy Jones can either slide inside to guard or if they need to bring up or move one of the younger players up at guard. So the left side of the offensive line is their biggest concern, and that can be a real concern. I mean, that's the blind side for your quarterback. So that's probably the biggest concern on offense. Defensively, with DJ Durkin, they're going to be aggressive. We got a chance to watch the first scrimmage, and guys were coming from everywhere. There were safety and corner blitzes and all kinds of stunts and things like that, and the offense struggled. Second scrimmage, which we didn't get a chance to see, the few folks that did and the players all said that the offense this time actually schemed a little bit for what they were expecting defensively, and they had a much better scrimmage. The other thing that thus far has been good for Auburn is they haven't had any serious injuries. DeAndre Lambert-Smith, the transfer from Penn State, turned his ankle, but he's been running full speed. Probably the biggest loss or the biggest injury they've had so far is Austin Keys, who looked like he banged his shoulder up a little bit in the first scrimmage, and he hasn't been back out there. Actually, I guess we thought it was his shoulder, but they've said his knee's been bothering him a little bit. So he's one of the more veteran guys at the linebacker spot, but they haven't had any serious injuries, and that's something that you never know what's going to happen. You look around the league and you've seen probably a half a dozen starters already ruled out for the year.
Yeah. Every team needs a different schedule. I think Georgia probably does need to be challenged in game one. I think this Alabama A&M game, and Dad, you're welcome to comment, I think it's perfect for Auburn. They should win the game comfortably. They should get to see a lot of guys on the field, and then California comes in. But I think playing a team like Alabama A&M, no disrespect to those guys, but Auburn should be much better than Alabama A&M. So it'll give a chance to have a happy locker room. Should get to play a lot of guys, and then with Cal coming in the next week, and then boom, and then you got Arkansas the week 2 weeks after that. But probably a good opener for Auburn with where they are right now.
Yeah, what they need to do, though, is go out and take care of business. I mean, they don't need to, in the first ball game with all the eyes wanting to see the receivers, and I'm sure they'll have some recruits in as well. I mentioned the quarterback. They don't need to go out and play one of those slop around, have the game be a contest into the third quarter kind of games. They need to go ahead and play it well. But you're right, this should set up an opportunity for a lot of young guys to be able to get in the game, get some experience, and be one of those, games that's a lot of fun for the alums that are coming in to watch.
Yeah.
Has John Cohen gotten a lot of NIL situation money? We never know exactly what's coming down with that with anybody. Is that going in the right direction? And is it difficult for him to decide who gets what when each team wants their share of things? We're all a little bit in the dark as to how that's going to work, a little bit. But any thoughts on problems he may have? Alabama has a couple, I think, of getting that together where everybody's happy.
I think right now they're in pretty good shape, but now what the problem obviously, Wimp, is, we don't know exactly how many scholarships everybody's going to have and what the roster sizes are going to be, and we're getting closer. And this is all being talked about for next year. So it's kids that are being recruited right now, and you don't know if you have another scholarship or two to be able to offer. I mean, basketball, I think, would probably be the simplest one if it's only going to increase to 15. Yep. You've got a better idea. That's not going to change things that much, but it's the sports that are going to have the huge jump or the partial scholarships that are going to be coming, it appears, in football, where you don't really know. And I'm sure everybody's hoping that they can, increase the war chest a little bit more just in case the numbers really go up astronomically in the conference.
Well, when they knock on his door, it's not ever good news. They're not coming in.
You're right.
They're not knocking on his door to brag on him.
No, they're not. I mean,
they're
everybody likes John. They like to visit with him, but yeah, I'm sure he's like, oh crap, here we go again.
I think I saw Bruce was in a dunk tank out in front of somewhere. Bruce will do it. He does it all, doesn't he? Bill. I saw him getting dunked in the dunk tank there. What was going on with all that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know the exact the reason for doing that. He's done things like that a lot of times, just as different. What a great promoter he really is. Sometimes he'll do it. He's done it for charity. He's done it for different reasons to raise money. But you're right. He seems more or less reluctant to do anything to be out there to try to help different causes. So, I mean, the students are back in town. He's always trying to do something for them too.
Well, they're going to Iowa State. Going to play Iowa State. Pardon me, in Maui. Right. I think that's right.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
And, of course, they've got. I always keep them with who they play twice. They've got Georgia, Ole Miss, and Alabama as the three teams that they play twice. Sometimes you can look at that too much and really try to. The best way to study it is to study who they've got on the road, because there'll be 6 on the road and 6 at home, and sometimes that 6 on the road becomes pretty difficult. So we'll see what happens there, Barry. I don't have anything.
I like the schedule that came out yesterday for Auburn. I mean, we talked about the fact that the Alabama games are both on Saturday for Auburn, but I mean, I looked and they've got Tennessee at home on a Saturday. They've got Florida at home on a Saturday. The Kentucky game is a Saturday as well. The schedule, I mean, they play 5 of their first 8 on the road, end up with 4 of the last 6 at home, but they do close it out with that's a little bit of a tough close when you're at Kentucky at A&M and then Alabama coming in for the last 3.
Yeah, that's pretty tough right there.
I guess you saw South Carolina's going with a redshirt freshman. And Robbie Ashford will end up being the backup. I know Shane Beamer said he brought Robbie in. Lenora Sellers will be the starter. I think Alabama takes on West Virginia. T.J. Finley. I can't believe T.J. Finley still has eligibility left. What is this? Is his fourth school? Eventually, Auburn's got to get that quarterback position settled down there where these guys aren't transferring out. But were you surprised Robbie Ashford got beat out by a freshman over in Columbia?
Robbie's still not the consistent passer that you really need. I mean, he's got tremendous athletic ability. He's a great runner, but I mean, it's just being able to make the intermediate throws has been something that's really been difficult for him through the years. So, I mean, he'll give him a guy that can come in and make a big play with his legs. And he's got a strong arm, but if you're asking for intermediate passes, that's probably something that he's going to struggle with.
Do you ever get any calls at all now about Bo? About how he's done at Oregon?
Yeah, we've gotten a couple. I mean, there's some folks that are still still skeptical. The ones that were disappointed that he didn't do more here, but I think most Auburn people are pretty pleased for him and just sort of wondering what it would have been like had the opportunity to be playing for a Hugh Freeze offense as opposed to that Brian Harsin offense before he left for Oregon.
If Bo Nix walked in the stadium during a game, would they cheer or boo?
Oh, they'd cheer him.
They would?
They'd cheer him. There'd be some that wouldn't, but no, I mean, most people are proud of the fact that he did get his degree from Auburn and that he left. And now I think more and more of the fans that were down on Bo and everything just look back at that 2-year stretch and went, man, how could anybody want to stick around under that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben.
Where is Brian Harsin now?
I think he's probably just skiing something somewhere out in
What if he walked in the stadium during a game? What would they do?
They wouldn't know him.
There's no. Yeah, well, the people that did recognize him wouldn't be cheering. I don't think. So no, I don't expect to see that happen. I mean, it's not like Aiden Holloway's coming back in on the last game of the regular season. If Brian Harsin walked in on the last game and they got upset up on the big screen, yeah, you'd hear some noise.
Yeah, we would know one thing: the recruits wouldn't know who he was because he didn't ever try to introduce himself to any of them.
You're right about that. Neither would high school coaches.
Yeah, Aiden Holloway. Wow, when he comes back down there this year, I bet you Bruce Pearl is very kind to him. Now the fans. That'll be another story.
Oh,
right?
You know that.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes. It should be fun. I love Alabama and Auburn being good in basketball again, so that should be a great rivalry. Any more construction going on down there? They got anything going on with the football stadium? I know they were talking about replacing that clock we laugh about in that one end zone there.
Oh, yeah. Well, they've just got more and more of the infrastructure there behind it. From the inside the stadium, you can't see an awful lot because that thing's going to stay up there until they've got the whole framework and they're taking out some space to make a big area for premium seating there as well. But it's on the backside, so from inside the stadium, you can't really see a whole lot that's going on down there. But yeah, it's going to be nice when that thing gets out of there. And I rode by the other day on the way to one of the press conferences, the facility there for baseball. They had Andy Burcham was telling us yesterday, or it was yesterday that they had an event there. Actually, that's where they had the first Tiger Talk the other night there in one of the new facilities there at Plainsman Park, and just was saying how amazingly nice it was, and that's something that's going to be ready for for some suite holders and VIPs there for football to be able to watch the Tiger Walk coming down Donahue.
There you go. All right, Bill. We're getting close. Dad's studying his blue plate special. He doesn't have a lot of picks for tomorrow. Do you have any? He's making his pick tomorrow. Do you have any advice for that Florida State Georgia Tech game over in Dublin?
I think Florida State's got too much. I like what's going on there with Georgia Tech. I think they're getting better. I hope it's a good ball game. I'm just glad that we've got college football. We've got a baby shower for my older son and his wife coming up. So there'll be some folks watching a little football as well while that's going on.
A baby shower on Saturday during the football game.
Well, I mean, it's got to be before. Got to be before next Saturday.
That's right. This is the week to get it over with, right? To have that baby shower. So, all right, another baby on the way. Nice, Bill.
Right. Our second granddaughter is what we're going to have.
There you go.
Yes, we wrapped up our summer concert tour last this past Monday. Saw Chicago and Earth, Wind and Fire. So hey, I mean it's time for football now.
That's a good. Where'd you see them?
That was in Atlanta, man. It was a great show. It was better than I even thought it would be. It was really, really good.
Yeah. All right, Bill. Tell everybody about your show, the time, how they get it.
Yep, it's The Drive every afternoon, 4 to 6 on ESPN 106.7. You can check us online, ESPNAU.com, or go to RadioAlabama.net. We'd love for you to join.
War Eagle.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, roll tide a week out.
There you go. I want to see what you do when I said that. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. All right, guys. Have a great week.
Right, there. Yeah, I've never said War. I guess I've said War Eagle. I wanted to see if he'd say War Eagle. If you say roll tide to somebody, they say it back, right? So I don't think you hear a lot of War Eagles on this radio station. Do you? All right, let's tell them about Bryant Bank before we get to break.
Well, Bryant Bank is a traditional banking experience for you. Offices in Tuscaloosa, I think there are 4 of them, and then throughout Birmingham. I've been dealing with them for a long time. Banking accessible around the clock, gives you the freedom to bank the way you want to with people that you know and people that you trust. And I think that's darn important when money's involved. So they've got a commitment to try to do everything they possibly can for the people that surround them, the schools, the kids. When you walk into a Bryant Bank, you'll go into a nice facility, but you'll also know the banker. And so I recommend that you give them a call, go by and visit with them, talk to their people, visit with the head man, and I think that you'll find that Bryant Bank will do you right. So go by and tell them you heard on Inside the Locker Room, and I think your money will be safe there, as I talk about all the time. That's darned important. And so go by there and tell them that you heard on Inside the Locker Room.
You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We're moving a little slow in the area now. Rush to work starting to pick up a lot here on Highway 43 southbound before McFarland Boulevard. Now you do have that accident. Traffic is a little slow as you pass by, but not too terrible. McFarland is actually starting to taper off right now. I don't see the delays as heavy as they were.
DEAL or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Tide 100.9. For more coverage of Alabama football, visit us at Tide100.9.com or download the free Tide 100.9 app.
The Crimson Tide will not be denied.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room.
I broke down, Barry. I broke down, and I broke down bad. But in order to tell us about Oklahoma, I got Barry Switzer on tomorrow.
Chase has never experienced.
You can tell Chase whatever you need to tell him.
Barry Switzer interview. Let's see if Chase even knows who Barry Switzer is. Chase, do you know who Barry Switzer is?
It does ring a bell. Did he coach for Oklahoma?
And the Dallas Cowboys. Only won 2 Super Bowls.
Okay.
And, yeah. So, well, that'll be good.
It won't be a fun interview, I don't think, but it is one that's kind of pertinent to Oklahoma and Texas coming into the league.
Well, it'd be great. It'd be great having him on.
Okay.
You don't think it'd be great?
I don't know whether he will or not. He goes off the wall on us pretty much.
We'll find out about that Airbnb. Is it still available? Some Alabama fan can rent that thing going out. All right, let's get back to chase those clips from Kane Wommack. Let's talk about the defensive positions and the scheme for the Alabama defense.
Defensive positions, I think we will see those things more like a game-to-game situation. And even within the game, we may say, hey, we're going to go field and boundary here, or we may match, as a base, call all game long, or we may say situationally on third down, right, we'll go match personnel and try to figure those things out. So we haven't really gotten into full-in game plan mode for Western Kentucky. We've obviously looked at those things and had some preparation as a coaching staff, but, we won't finalize those things until on the back end of this week.
All right, let's go right there to that next clip as well. Continues to talk about the defense. There's I got a guy text me about scheduling, so I can't lose that game on the defensive line.
Yeah, I think those guys are doing a good job of starting to understand. I think a lot of pass rush on the interior is pre-snap recognition. Is it a run pass? Is it a run call? Is it a pass call? I may call a run-stopping defense, right, for the defensive line, but all of a sudden they get a pass recognition, and we're going to make communications out there where they have the ability, right, to turn that into a pass rush scenario, either themselves, right, or we may work some games inside with the interior D-line. So I think those guys are doing a really good job of holding their roles, but we seem to be able to create some pass rush on the interior as well. So those guys have really taken to that. I think they're, trying to create ownership, for themselves.
Comments on that, Dale?
Pass rush is something that Alabama has not done. Has not done very, very little. You never see much pass rush. You have it almost pass rush, maybe occasionally, but pass rush has not been one of Alabama's things defensively.
No, they haven't gotten to the quarterback much here lately, and I think they're going to emphasize that more. They want to put that quarterback under duress, and sounds like they got guys coming from everywhere. Now that's you can give up some big plays when you do that, but you also can make some big plays defensively. Alabama last year or two hadn't created a bunch of turnovers either. I don't know the exact stats there. But all right, let's go to on following DeBoer and Saban, what Kane Wommack had to say about that.
Well, Kalen and I had been in the foxhole together, before. And so, when you get to know Kalen DeBoer, you see the confidence that he has. It's certainly a humble confidence. But for his players, coaches, the way he conducts himself, the way that he game plans, the stress that our offense puts on people, I thought was certainly an opportunity to get back with him and to work with him again was something I was really looking forward to. And then, I think we talk about this, right? The greatest players always step up in the biggest moments. Well, it's the same thing for coaches, right? Coach Saban has really set the standard of what defensive play is supposed to look like in college football for the last 3 decades. And to be able to, step in place for that and to be able to run this defense and make some changes in what we're doing and all the things he's been able to do to help. I wanted to take advantage of that opportunity. I wanted to be able to continue the legacy that he's created here and defensive foundation and the way that we do things. And so I just thought it was a special opportunity and one I was not going to pass up.
Can you imagine Greg Burns people reach out to Kalen DeBoer? Kalen DeBoer probably starts thinking, all right, if I take this job, I got to put a staff together. He's worked with Kane Wommack before. I'm sure he probably called him and said, all right, I may have this opportunity at Alabama. I know you're the head coach down there at South Alabama. Kane Wommack knows he's going to double his salary there. So I'm sure there was a lot of conversations going on there. You think prior to Coach DeBoer taking this job, or you think he contacted him after he took it once he talked to all the guys at Washington?
Oh, I think he talked to him but by the time he knew that Greg Byrne was heading up to visit with him
the head coach, and so I think he pretty much had talked to Kane about coming with him because they've been together. I think the biggest thing is that the biggest thing of all of it is they have confidence in each other. I think of all the things you can say, adjectives you can give, and whatever you can say about whatever, the head coach and the defensive coordinator, and the head coach is not a defensive guy, but they have confidence in each other. I think that's the key.
Well, trust, and they know each other. And I think Kane Womack probably has a different style than Coach DeBoer, and you can't have. I think he's fiery, and I don't know the coach. I mean, I think he will get fiery, but that's just not his demeanor. So you try to surround yourself with the guys, right, that are not just like you, because you can't have everybody the same there. I think he checked that box.
Yeah, he probably does, and there'll be some disappointments when they were off the field defensively at times, and you can tell that by looking at Kane and his disgust for those guys by sitting them down behind the rest of the guys and visiting with them. So, everybody just does what they need to do, and whatever the defensive guy does, the head coach is in tune with it, and he doesn't go in and say, you should have done this defensively. I thought you would do this and you didn't. That's not what he does.
Yeah. All right, last clip we'll play here. Go down second to the bottom. Everybody wants to be at the highest level. I'm competing and being at the University of Alabama.
Yeah, I think I don't think you come to Alabama unless you're a true competitor, unless you want to be in those big moments, right? And so we talk about this all the time. I like guys that love to win and hate to lose, love to work and hate to lose. And so guys that love to go about the work, that are focused on doing the next right thing, always striving to be the best versions of themselves and don't mind putting in the work. But guys that hate to lose, as opposed to guys that just enjoy winning, will do whatever it takes to get something fixed when adversity hits. And so, our offense has created tons of challenges for us and what we have to defend. And so I think our guys have responded really well to that adversity. And I didn't think in scrimmages, particularly early on in games, in the springtime or in fall scrimmage one, you really look at us last year, we were the same way. We didn't start fast enough, and I think our guys have really taken that challenge upon themselves.
All right, comments on that before we get to break.
I don't have any comment on that. He believes in a lot of work, and he believes in disappointment when you lose, and he reads that pretty much. The guys at work are probably going to play early, and I think that's the key.
Yeah, I think they talked about they try to have a system in place where young guys can play early as well. So they have packages to get the freshman guys in there, and you probably can the first 2 weeks, and then they can see whether they're going to be good enough to play when they take on Wisconsin and Georgia. So it'll be an evaluation period if they can get to that. If they get the score big enough. All right, you're listening to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of The Game, Aaron Torres. We'll talk with him. We're going to recap another Alabama practice. We'll have offense front and center starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We're moving a little slow in the area now. Rush to work starting to pick up a lot here on Highway 43 southbound before McFarland Boulevard. Now you do have that accident. Traffic is a little slow as you pass by, but not too terrible. McFarland is actually starting to taper off right now. I don't see the delays as heavy as they were.
Just best quality to our customers. So we just look at it as, hey, basically we're your kitchen. You're just coming to eat in your kitchen. Taco Casa, under the biggest cactus in town.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A good supply of sunshine today with a high in the upper 80s, around 88. Tonight, fair with a low at 68. Tomorrow, partially sunny, a small chance of a shower, the high 89. And Friday, a good supply of sunshine with a high at 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker. All right, tomorrow, great show tomorrow. We'll have J.C. Sherbert. Now we got Barry Switzer. We'll have the first Blue Plate special. So we'll get Dad to give that. Normally he'll give you 4 or 5 games he looked at, and then pick. There's not that many games for this time for him to pick. But I know Chuck Norwood with Remax at Gulf Shores. If you're looking to buy or sell down in the Orange Beach, Gulf Shore area, Chuck does a great job down there. Go to chucknorwood.com, but he will sponsor the Blue Plate special, and we've already got a text for Chuck that he's ready to go 1-0. So, Dad, the pressure's on, but I know you've been studying, so everybody's. I don't know which way that Florida. I don't know which way you're going. You may not even go to the Florida State Georgia Tech game, but should have a fun show tomorrow. So we look forward to talking a little college football. The weather's great out there today, so get out and enjoy it. The Gary Harris Show is next, so keep it locked in. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports. Have a great day, everybody.